have you here with us. So, to start with, let's thank him for being here. I would like to invite up to get this started today by inviting up Pastor Rolf, who is also our Sheriff's Chaplain here, to start with an invocation. Pastor?
I noticed the slogan on the sign that says, "Only the sheriff can save us now." I think you could be a big help, but I think only God can save us now.
Amen. Yes, amen.
Amen.
Let's pray. Father God, we're grateful that we have the opportunity to be reminded of your view of what leadership looks like. As we gather this afternoon in this meet and greet, we learn more about Sheriff Chad Bianco, and we think of the weeks ahead prior to our voting. It's my feeling that you've called Sheriff Bianco to be leader and to serve his fellow man. This is not his first rodeo, as they say. He's been called to serve as sheriff of San Bernardino County and has served in that capacity since 2019. His success as sheriff of one of California's largest cities says a lot about his leadership abilities. As we think about the weeks ahead that remain between now and the election day, we look to your vision of leadership, and we're thankful, Lord, for Sheriff Bianco's desire to be governor of our great state of California, and to know without a doubt that he's willing to pursue justice and has concern for the many cities and towns in our state and the problems they share. So, Lord, we're grateful for the sheriff who you've called forward to serve, on whose heart you've laid your vision for leadership. And Lord, our prayer is that you would continue to strengthen and encourage the sheriff in whatever endeavor he chooses to serve our people. And I would ask, Lord, that you provide folks who stand by him in his run and who can help ensure that his message will be communicated clearly, that it will not fall on deaf ears, and that as citizens they will find their neighbors to be people who are paying attention and are looking to the interests of others. Lord, we do pray particularly for Sheriff Bianco's health, for his safety, for his family's and friends' safety as they commit with him to this campaign for governor. And lastly, I ask you, Lord, to guide him along the path you have for him and to bless him mightily. Sheriff Bianco and each one of us have been created in your image. And I pray that you would give him what he needs to be a man who continues to lead and govern in wisdom, protect him from the assaults of the enemy, and continue to conform him to the image of your Son, Jesus Christ, in whose name we pray these things. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. I invite you now to all please rise and face the flag, and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. With me, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
Estamos en Bass Lake, California.
I want to say thank you to Mr. Mark Cho for offering this wonderful facility to us here so we could all be here today. Thank you, Mark. Also a thank you to Cody Hayes, who helped make all the phone calls and helped get things coordinated as we hatched the plot to get the sheriff here. So thank you, Cody. I'm now going to invite up Cody and Vanessa. They have a presentation gift they'd like to make to the show.
Este muchacho ahorita se nos acercó y nos dio una bienvenida muy cálida, este muchacho.
This is by an artist by the name of Janice Hancock. She's from your area of the world, Manatee, Utah. Yeah, she is a very well-known artist. She's a cancer survivor herself. Where I got this was from another friend that you've met, Mr. Mike Harris of the Fresno Veterans Memorial Association. what she does is she makes beautiful, beautiful paintings of soldiers who have fallen, men and women, and she presents it to their families. So I think this has a special meaning for you. It should, now that we're celebrating our 250th birthday of this country, the Battle of Valley Forge. Praying for your enemies, praying for your people that were fighting so hard against the redcoats. So if you have it, we need to have it. So Sheriff, this is for you. Thank you. Thank you.
I have one final thank you. I'd like to thank the Sheriff Coroner Tyson Pogue for being here and being support for Sheriff Bianco and coming here all the way. So thank you, Sheriff. Also, Sheriff Chad Bianco, may I invite you up to the diadem, please?
So as much as I appreciate all of you being here and would like to talk to you, I'm going to talk to you while I'm facing this. It's much better. That chair, the view this way was a whole lot better than the other way. Thank you all for coming out here today. Thank you for supporting me. And there's so many things that change what you're going to say as people talk to you when you arrive and how you're introduced and everything else. And I will tell you that the only way, the only reason I can save California is because God already saved me. So that's why I'm here. It's not that God's not here physically, but I will tell you that the only reason that I'm able to do this is because He put me in place and gave me not only the tools, but put me in the places that I needed to be to make it to where I could run this, and I could run this campaign and travel this state, making everything happen and gathering the support that we're doing is only because of the places that God took me in my life. So that's why it says that. And the other one says because I don't want to leave my home. So we are in a very, very tough spot in California, but we're in a great spot in California in that we can turn things around, and it's right in front of us. It's in our grasp. The powers that be that have ruined our state are in complete shambles and disarray, and the future of California is being dangled right in front of us if we can just grab it, hold it tight, and never let it go and never give it back to the people that put us in the place that we are today. So I appreciate you being here and supporting me in this endeavor. This is going to take an army to make sure we win, and I can promise you that this is all over the state. This is probably, people tell me that have been involved in California politics for their entire lives, and they're older than I am, say that they have never seen a grassroots campaign like we have in this campaign, and the support that we have all across the state. So it's because of people like you. It's because of people like you that love our state, love your family and your kids, and want California to be available, the California dream to be available for your kids and your grandkids, which is part of the reason why I'm doing this. So I appreciate all of your help and support. So I'm going to talk for very brief so I can make sure that I answer all of your questions. I don't want you leaving saying, he was boring and he answered none of the questions that we had. So I'm just going to tell you what California is going to look like from a 30,000 foot level with me as your governor, and then I'll make sure I answer any specific questions that you have. This is difficult doing these things when you do things more than one time in a day, because as I'm talking, it's going to go through my head, did I already tell you that, or was that last hour when I was talking to other people? So I'm going to make it quick, but I'll try and keep on point. California, what we all know, California is not broken because of any of you, any of your businesses, any of the people that frequent your businesses, your kids, school teachers, business owners, law enforcement. We did not break California. Bad policies is what has broken California. California is by far the greatest state in the country. It's the only state in the country that can be self-sufficient. We're the only state in the country that has all of the natural resources or farming ability, agriculture ability, ranching ability to be self-sufficient on our own. The only state in the country. And we need to get back to that. At one point we were. At one point we started taking a slide, and we're slowly dwindling that ability to take care of ourselves. More and more of what we get in California today to make our lives work is coming from other states and coming from other countries. and we have to take it back. We have to bring it back to where California is self-sufficient, and we are making our lives better instead of enriching the lives of other states or worse, other countries on our backs. So what is California going to look like with me as your governor? A lot different than it does today. For you business owners, I'm actually going to give you the ability to run your business how you want. I'm going to take away the restrictions, take away the regulations that are driving you out of business, driving your bottom line down to near nothing, making it, sometimes when you wake up and say, what's the point of even doing it anymore? It's not worth it. And so businesses are closing, businesses are relocating to other states. We have to stop that trend, and it's bad business environment. So, but what I have to offer is probably nothing unique than a lot of other people in this room. I'm only offering common sense, reasoning ability, and problem-solving skills to fix California. And the biggest one is common sense. It does not take a rocket scientist to run government. It takes someone with the will, the energy, and the desire to make everyone else's life better. Outside of your own ideologies, outside of even your own opinions. It's what is it going to do and what's it going to take to make everyone else's life better. And that's what I'm going to do in California once I get to Sacramento. So what is my plan? It's very, very easy. It's what government was intended for. It's ironic that it's our 250th year anniversary. The men and women who started, formed, and made this country the greatest country in the history of the world were far more intelligent, cared far more about their fellow residents, neighbors, and everything else than the people running government do today. And I'm just going to take that mentality back. We have to have priorities in government. Priorities have to be for all of us, not for a political party. And what that means is you can tell what government priorities are and where they are by where they spend their money. And I will be very transparent in where we're going to spend our money. The number one priority of any government is public safety. The national government, federal government, is to keep us safe from foreign invaders. Local and state government is to keep us safe from criminals so we can operate our lives safely, our businesses safely, and just function really in life. You have to be safe or nothing else matters. With me as your governor, and I hope as you look at everybody that you have to pick from, I hope I don't have to explain to you that I'm the expert in this arena. I'm the only one that is in public safety, been doing it for 33 years. So with that, public safety will be made number one. Crime is actually going to be a crime again. We are going to hold people accountable who victimize us. We are going to make sure they suffer the consequence of what happens in a civilized society. When you break the rules, you go to jail. We are going to change the horrific state policies that are ruining our county jail systems, our sheriff's offices, by forcing state inmates into county jail instead of state prison. They are going to go to prison where they belong. We are going to right the wrongs of the last 14 years and truly start holding criminals accountable for victimizing us. Along with public safety is fire. Are there any firemen in here? Second responders? They're in the back. I'm just kidding. I saw you all back there. Public safety is public safety. It's fire, it's law enforcement to keep us safe from criminals, from people, and it's the fire departments to keep us safe from natural disasters or fires, obviously, or anything else that happens as a natural disaster. Our fire departments have been on the front lines, literally, even figuratively, recently because of all the fires that we have. It is not because of global warming that we're having the fires that we have. It is because of absolute failed policies that prevent our fire departments from actually preventing these fires from happening or at least getting so big in off seasons. We get the fires that we have fire season in California, you all know that. We have wind season in California, you all know that, and sometimes they come at the same time. The problem is that we do not have defensible space created around our properties, around our towns, our cities, and everything else that we should have, because environmental activism is preventing the fire departments from doing it. Our logging system has been completely destroyed in California, and that means that all of what we should be doing to thin out the dead fuel, the old fuel, and keep our forests managed has been prevented. So when those fires do happen, decades of fuel is able to burn at once, and that's why they go so fast, that's why they go so hot, that's why we lost an entire city in Southern California last year that truly, when you think about it, is nowhere near what should be a wildfire zone. But those fires, that brush in the hillsides was so thick and so dense that those fires were so hot with the wind combined, it took out an entire city, 15,000 homes, that wiped off the face of the map. It's crazy, but it was failed government policy. It was environmental policy that kept the fire department the week prior from going into an old burn and putting that fire out. So when the wind came up 5 days later, it started again, blew it into brush that wasn't burned, and then we lost the entire city. We can prevent things from happening if we fought fires differently. I will say, Riverside County, I will say that our fire department does an amazing job, but we do extra of what other people do. We are CAL FIRE, we contract with CAL FIRE, and we pay a lot of money to fight smoke. We don't fight fires. When deputies or residents or whoever it is reports smoke, our fire department, CAL FIRE, Riverside County Fire, attacks smoke. We attack it with everything they have so the flames don't get out of control and we lose our mountain communities. We've been doing it extremely well for 30 years and we've been successful every single year. And I promise you that same mentality is going to go for the rest of the state. When the fires start, we are going to put every effort we have to put them out before they take out cities, towns, communities, resort communities, our homes. We have to make that happen. Public safety has to be number one. Number two is infrastructure. Our roadways, electricity, water, power, all of those things that make life happen, that's government's responsibility. California has failed miserably in all of it. I saw a study just the other day, 2 or 3 days ago, that came out. California pays more for our roadways than any other state in the country, and it's not even close. And we rank number 50 in quality of roadways. So we pay the most, and we have the worst in the entire country. It absolutely makes no sense. We have to start investing in our roads, our freeway systems, all of those things. And we have to start getting back to where we can travel. At the debate the other day, someone said that they have to tax more. We have to have more gas tax because they don't want us driving on roads with potholes and everything else. It's like, I don't think that person's driven on a road in California for 20 years because there's nothing but potholes and bad roads and everything else in California. We have to get back to taking care of our residents, and we're going to. The biggest issues with infrastructure is electricity and water. Electricity is a mess. We do not, the biggest state in the country doesn't have the electric infrastructure, the electric grid to provide us power year-round. It makes absolutely no sense, and it's only because failed government policy. Do you all realize that it is impossible for the power company to raise your rates? They have absolutely no say-so in it. It is California state government, the CPUC, that raises your rates. And every time they raise your rates, it is just to make the power companies more money. That's it. Last year, how many people's rates got raised? It looks like about half of you raised your hand. That means that your spouse pays your electric bill. Because everyone's power got raised last year. Your bill got raised last year because the CPUC allowed them to raise your rates, and they made record profits last year. $7 billion between PG&E, SCE, and San Diego Gas and Electric, $7 billion in profits. Once you elect me on day one, your electric rates, whether it's your business or your home rates, will be cut in half immediately because the CPUC has that ability. And with the rest of that, so that means they only make $3.5 billion in profits. Poor power companies. We're going to also force them to start burying their lines. Force them to start updating their poles, updating their infrastructure, and move to a nuclear power supply away from solar and wind that is actually going to give us not only a more reliable energy source, a more powerful energy source, a cheaper energy source, but also one that is far more safer for the environment. We have to get past this belief that the environmental activists actually care about the environment, because they don't. It's just about activism, it's about growth, and it's about government control. We are going to make sure that we start taking care of Californians. So our electricity is taken care of. Water is probably the biggest issue in California. It's forcing our farming and ranching communities out of business. It's forcing cities from expanding. It's forcing us from building homes because they say we don't have the water. And I have to tell you all, if you don't know already, California has never, ever suffered from a drought. Ever. We get more water every single year than any other state in the country. And by government design, 70% of it is sent straight to the ocean, giving us the inability to use it. About 13, 14 years ago, most of you probably voted for a bond measure. It was hundreds of billions of dollars to build more dams and reservoirs to end our water problem in California. How many have been built since then? Zero. There hasn't been one built since 1979. But there has been none built since we told the government and gave the government the money to build them. 14 years. There have been 4 dams taken away. So while they tell us we're suffering from a water crisis where we need to save more water, they removed 4 dams that have given us the ability to have what we have. It's made it worse. The government made it worse. So it's proof positive that we do not have a water problem. We have a water management problem. And it is a government control problem. You believe we've suffered from a drought because the government told you we had a drought so they could ration your water, cut your water, and raise your water rates simply to get more money. I'm giving that back to all of you. We will build the dams and reservoirs that we have planned. They've already located the places where we have to have them. We are going to start building them. And we're not going to build them ridiculously like California government normally does. I'm just going to simply make one phone call, tell the president that I'm not going to sue him anymore. California's not suing you. We actually want your help. Please send the Army Corps of Engineers to build us dams. I guarantee you he's going to do it. If we can do it for other countries, we can do it for our own state, particularly the biggest one. And we will have all of the dams and reservoirs to make sure that our farming and ag community has 100% of the water that they need. When that happens, the remainder of that water percolates down into the ground, fills up all of our aquifers, and now we never have a problem again. We function how we're supposed to function. We function like other states function. California is just broken, but we can fix it. And I'll talk about this at the end, but just remember the word regulation. It's regulation that's preventing it. So the number 3 problem or priority that we are supposed to have is education. We are supposed to be responsible. Government is responsible for educating our kids to make them productive members of society, productive adults, so we can all retire. We aren't supposed to work until we die. We are supposed to enjoy the last little bit of our life while our kids take over and keep everything going. And unfortunately for our education system, we are no longer preparing kids to enter adulthood. We are no longer preparing them to be productive members of society, productive adults. If you're lucky enough to get kids that are, you did it. They didn't come from the school system. They came from good parenting. That's all great, but we need to make sure everybody, all of the kids are educated and taught and made sure that they can read, made sure they can write, made sure they can do math, balance a checkbook, realize that they don't get to spend more money than they have, realize that half of their check is going to the government instead of in their pocket. Get them more involved in how government is supposed to work, but we can educate them in that process. As your governor, I'm going to give you a shameless plug right here. I can't do everything in the school system. When you vote for me and you put me into this office, you also have to send Sonia Shaw to be the school superintendent of California, the state superintendent of schools. She is currently a board member, a school board member president in Southern California. She has done more in 4 years for California school districts than any person probably in history, just by fighting the ridiculousness that comes out of Sacramento. And she's doing an amazing job. I believe she's going to win, but we all need to support her and get her into that position. As the governor, I get to control the purse strings of the school. And what I can do is absolutely mandate that every single school district in the state, some of you are already doing it, but every school district is going to, we are force them to put trades back into the school system. We will give our kids the ability to do something with their hands to make themselves productive, to take care of themselves and their family. We will teach them to be woodworkers, to be carpenters, to be electricians, plumbers, mechanics, welders, all of those things that have been taken away from the school system that once were there that made us all able to do something when we left school. We don't all have to go to college to get a college degree that doesn't help us in the field that we were going into. We can start from high school and we can be productive and we can make sure that our kids have that ability. One thing that I can promise you as the governor, and I do have this ability, there's never again going to be a boy in your daughter's locker room. They won't compete against them in sports. And for all you parents, grandparents, or future parents, you are not going to have to vaccinate your kids to get them an education. This is one thing that I know. Never in the history of the world has any government ever had a child. Parents have kids. And it is up to you to raise your kids. It's up to you what they learn. It's up to you what they're taught. It's up to you for their values. And it's up to you what goes into their body. It's not up to the government and it's not up to the school system. I will ensure that you have all of the rights that we are supposed to be given by God to raise your kids. The government is not going to do it. So the biggest thing for California, aside from the top three, the overarching enemy of California is the cost of living. It is far too expensive to live in California. Whether it's to own a business, operate a business, to buy a home, the price of gas, the price of groceries, everything, all goods and services are more expensive in California than anywhere else in the country, sometimes by double. And it is all because of government. And this is where I'm going to tell you, I said the word earlier, but this is where what you have to just believe me when I tell you this, and I wouldn't be doing this, running for this, trying to get into this spot of trying to fix what seems like is impossible to fix, if I didn't think it was going to be easy. The majority of what is broken in California is because of regulations. The government figured out a long time ago, the state government figured out that their only goal really is to take all of your money so they can spend it on things that they want. We took that away from them, or at least made it super hard for them to raise our taxes a long time ago. And because we made it almost impossible, they found a loophole or a workaround. And that workaround is the regulatory process. Because regulations can impose fees that can be raised anytime they want, and we are supposed to pay, and we do, pay those fees. So all a fee is a different word for a tax. And the good thing for that, and me going into this position, is every single regulation, every single one of them, can be removed by the government. I can suspend or remove every single regulation. So regulations like in blocks, what I'll like thinking globally. The California Environment, I said it wrong, I just had a brain cramp, CEQA, we'll just go with CEQA. California, what in the world? Environmental Quality Act, oh my gosh. The California Environmental Quality Act basically is the federal EPA on steroids. No other place in the country has CEQA. Day one, CEQA is gone. CEQA is gone. CEQA is an unelected, appointed board that makes regulations that destroy our lives. The California Coastal Commission, gone on day one. CARB, the California Air Resource Board, gone. And every single one of the regulations that come from those boards are no longer effective. If the board doesn't exist, if the regulatory environment doesn't exist, if the regulation doesn't exist, it no longer applies. They can't sue me for something that doesn't exist. It was a dirty secret that they used to impose on all of us this, but the thing that we don't realize is it can be taken away easier than it was implemented. And from day 1 through 10, there are so many of them, day 1 through 10 is going to be nothing but signing away regulations to make our lives easier. So the biggest issue in California is quality of life, or not quality of life, cost of living. The cost of living is double of any other state in the country. And it's because of regulation. It's driven up because of 4 major things. It's the price of gasoline, because gasoline affects everything. Whether it's goods and services in stores, or getting us to where we're supposed to be, or farming community involving ranching and agriculture, everything revolves around gasoline. So if our gas is twice as expensive as everybody else's, why wouldn't you think the cost of goods and services wouldn't be? That's exactly how it works. So how are we going to lower the cost of gas? Very, very simple. I take away all of the regulations that are preventing California from being oil independent. We will be oil independent with me as your governor, and it will happen almost immediately. We will give the oil companies the ability immediately. They're going to have to ramp up to make it happen because they've been prevented for 40 years. Taking away the regulations is going to make Kern County, it's okay that it's not our counties, it's not my county either, but Kern County is going to be the next Silicon Valley of California, because Kern County has more oil than we could ever use in 1,000 lifetimes underneath Kern County. We will be oil independent. This is how that's going to help us 2 ways. It's going to give us either the cheapest gasoline or nearly the cheapest gasoline in the country. Texas is oil independent right now, and Texas has $2.35 a gallon. It's gone up a little bit because of what's going on in Iraq right now, or in Iran right now. But $2.35 average in Texas because they are oil independent. California could be oil independent, but we are not. We import 80% of our oil and gas from other places. Other states, or the majority comes from other countries, the Middle East or Venezuela. Some of it even comes from the Bahamas. We get zero benefit from importing it from other countries. And it actually costs 5 times more than doing it ourselves. To import gas and oil costs 5 times more than if we pumped it ourselves and refined it ourselves. That's why our gas is more expensive than everywhere else. We will have the cheapest gas. Here's the other benefit. The number 2 reason for the cost of living is taxes. It's no secret we have the highest cost of living because we have the highest taxes in the country. The benefit of being oil independent is the way oil works is when an oil company takes oil from the ground, they pay a fee to the state. When you buy it from another country, there's no benefit to us. If we were oil independent and we used all the oil from California, that fee that the oil companies pay the state completely funds state government. Completely funds it. So where do they get their money now? Where does Sacramento get their money now to operate?
From us.
From you. 90% of it is from your state income tax. If I eliminate that need with me as your governor, you will no longer be paying a California state income tax. We are going to do away with it. There are 10 other states in the country that do not tax their residents. There's no state income tax in 10 states. I'm not going to tell you which states they are. You're just going to think about where all your friends and family members are moving to. And those are the states. And those states are thriving. They are taking our residents, and most importantly, they are taking our businesses, because those states have made it possible for businesses to thrive in their states. I have a friend that, well, he's turning into a friend. Started an acquaintance when I learned this. It was several months ago. He's in the manufacturing business. He manufactures rockets for the military, and he does it here in California. He says, why does he do it in California? He has no idea. Because they're making it almost impossible for him to do business in California because of the regulations. But he loves California and his kids don't want to move. So he's telling me, this was like 2 days later, so he's telling me last night he had a Little League game that he couldn't miss. So he went to his kid's Little League game instead of what he was asked to do. And he was asked to go to a dinner in Orange County. This business is in San Bernardino County. He was asked to go to a business dinner in Orange County. There were 20 of them that were invited, and all of them owned manufacturing businesses. They were the owners of manufacturing businesses. Those 20 people were at dinner. He didn't go, so there was only 19. After that night, 18 of those business owners moved their business to Oklahoma because that dinner was with the governor of Oklahoma. And he promised them a better work environment, tax breaks, and everything else if they moved their manufacturing and took their businesses with their jobs to Oklahoma. And they did. We need a governor that's going to travel the rest of the country and bring those businesses back by doing the same thing that they're doing, removing the inability of businesses and manufacturing specifically to operate in California. When you do that, all of those businesses are going to come back. The jobs are going to come back. And that's how you stimulate the economy, to fire on all cylinders, to drive up everything that truly drives government, drives businesses, and makes our lives successful. And the governor has the ability to do that. We remove those business regulations. Our building industry, the number 3rd reason is the cost of homes. California is unaffordable to build a home. We've all heard it. Housing affordability, affordable homes. Here's the reality in California. The government, state government, your lawmakers, your governor, have made it impossible to build a home in California. So there technically isn't an affordability for us to buy problem. The affordability is they've made it unaffordable for a builder to build a home that we can purchase. And this is what I mean by that. I have friends that build one house at a time, and I have friends that build entire communities at one time. And they both tell me the exact same thing. When they build a house or a community, the final price of that house that we have to pay, a minimum of 1/3 of that price is just so they can recover the fees that they had to pay state government. If you decide today, right this second, that you want to build a house, when you start building that house, it costs you $137 or $137,000 right off of the bat just to pay the state to start that process. $137,000. It doesn't matter if it's a 1,000 square foot home or a 10,000. It's a $137,000 fee just to go. It's crazy. And what benefit are you getting from it? None. State government, California state government, the budget in the last 10 years has doubled. Doubled. Can one of you tell me that any service that you have gotten from our government has doubled? It's probably decreased. We know that it's just complete waste, fraud, and abuse of California government. And that is what's driving up the cost of living. The cost of government drives up the cost of living because it's the price of homes, it's the price of gas, it's the price of energy. All of those things that they are controlling with regulation is driving us to not be able to afford California. And I am promising you, all of those regulations are getting removed when I take over. Everyone says, what's the first thing you're going to do? I can't have a first thing because I have to have a first 10 days minimum. Because there has to be so many things that I'm doing in those 10 days to remove regulations, remove the ability or inability for us to make our lives easier and better. And it's just getting government out of your way. That's what I'm offering you. And then in the next 7 years, 8 years, then we're going to fight to get rid of everything else, to make sure that it never comes back. We have to change, we have to make sure that I put in place laws that make it felonies for the government to lie to us. And what I mean by that is we keep passing propositions that harm us. And then afterward we're like, oh my gosh, how in the world did this happen? How are they taking more of our money? And I will say, a perfect example, I'm going to tell you Prop 19. Proposition 19 has basically, it's not really harming you, it harms your kids when you die. Because you are no longer going to be able to give them your property, give them your land, give them your business, because they're not going to be able to afford it. Because the state is going to take it away from them. Because of Prop 19 and because of the cost of taking that they have to pay your kids or your heirs, whatever the case may be, they are not going to be able to afford the taxes on your property that you've already paid for because of Prop 19, and we voted for it. You only voted for it because you were lied to. You were lied to about the title of the bill. You were lied to in the little book that you got that they were supposed to tell you what it was going to do, and you get to choose yes or no. You were lied to. And your Attorney General and your Secretary of State did it. And with me as your governor, I promise you, we will get a bill passed that says that if the Attorney General and the Secretary of State lie to you or mislead you in election material that you are voting on, they are going to be guilty of a felony, and it's going to be a huge prison sentence if they do it. And it's going to prevent them from doing it again. And a bigger example, and then I'll end this part, I get on a soapbox. But Prop 47, and I mean, this is our wheelhouse in public safety. Prop 47, it was really AB 109, that was another bill they did, not important, but it's prison realignment that I have to reverse. We have to send people to prison instead of county jails. But Prop 47 was almost the nail in the coffin for public safety in California. You all voted for it. We voted for it. My wife almost voted for it. I almost had a heart attack. Thank God she said it out loud. And she's going over her ballot and saying, oh, Prop 47, yes. And I'm like, no! It has to be a no. But the reality is 66% of California voted for Prop 47. And Prop 47 brought us to where we are today in public safety. It legalized drugs, which created the homeless issue that we have. It made crime not a crime again, because it made felonies misdemeanors nothing. Drugs are legal. Theft was legal because you couldn't compound them. You could rob this store of $900 and then go to the next store, $900, and you could just keep doing that every single day, every single hour of the day, and there was no additional punishment. And we did that. You voted for that. But you were lied to because the name of Prop 47 was the Safe Schools and the Safe Streets Initiative. Who would not vote for that? We are going to make sure that your government can't do that anymore. We're going to hold people accountable. And one thing that I will tell you, with the homeless, I'm going to fix the homeless. It's going to be easy to fix homeless. We are never, ever, ever going to refer to it as homeless again because it has nothing to do with homes. It's drug and alcohol addiction. It's mental illness caused by drug and alcohol psychosis. And then it's mental illness that is exacerbated by drug and alcohol use. And we are going to treat it in a way. I sat at the debate the other night and I listened to a complete dishonest mayor of San Jose say what a great job he's done because they're not unhoused anymore, unsheltered homeless or whatever it was he was calling them, because they gave them little tiny homes to live on the street instead of a tent. There's no difference. It's still the same people, still doing the same thing. Their lives are still in shambles. They're still suffering from drug and mental illness, drug abuse and mental illness. They're still on the streets. We still have to deal with them when we go out. But because it's a hard roof over their head, they want you to believe that they've done a good job. And the funny thing about that is those tiny little 100 square foot homes were $950,000 each.
Yeah.
So is that truly a benefit? It was, but not to the homeless. Not to the people that are dying on the street. There were some people involved with government that made some massive, massive amounts of money. We're going to treat it for what it is. We're going to help them. We're going to get them the mental health and the drug help that they need. We're going to get them the alcohol help that they need. And we're going to get them back to the families and the homes that every single one of them had. Because it doesn't have anything to do with homes. And we're going to start treating things for what they are, being honest for what they are. And we're going to solve problems instead of throwing money at problems. Because we have learned over the years that that just creates bigger problems. And we're going to make California, finally, I'm going to get to questions now, and you can stop me from talking. But this is what I will promise you. With me as your governor, California state government is finally going to work every single day to make your lives easier, instead of you working harder every single day to make California government bigger. That's not what it was intended to be. That's not how it was intended to work. And we are going to get it back to where California is once again the greatest state in our country. So thank you for coming out and supporting me. And now, questions if you have them. In the back, you were first.
Sir, I have a question. The California unfair plan for insurance. Insurance is killing us up here.
Yes.
Killing us. What can you do?
We can do a lot. The unfortunate part for insurance is that's probably the only thing that I can't do quickly. It's a fix. There's a fix, and we will start on it immediately, but it's going to take a year to really get into gear to where it works. So this is what I will tell you. We had this discussion on stage the other night with lunatics that are just insane. The California Fair Plan is an example of single payer. That's what they want to do with health insurance. But yet all of them will admit that the California Fair Plan is a failure, but they want our health insurance to be single family or single payer. It doesn't work. It's not fair. It's an unfair plan, but it's acting exactly how it was designed. So the reason, though, that our insurance rates are so high is because all the insurance companies left. There's no longer the availability to get homeowners insurance, fire insurance particularly. And so you're forced onto the fair plan, which they can charge anything that they want. That's why we're paying such high rates. Or the one or two insurance companies that are still remaining here, they're responsible, they're on the hook for everything. And so they have to raise our rates as high as they possibly can, because when that disaster strikes, and they know it's going to strike again, because we haven't changed the policies that put us in this position. So why your rates are so high, why the insurance companies left, are because specifically, this has been going on for decades, but for the last 5 years in particular, they have lobbied the governor's office and the legislature to eliminate the environmental restrictions that prevents our fire departments from keeping us safe. And those environmental restrictions are what prevent backburns, they prevent controlled burns, they prevent clearing of brush, thinning of forest, all of those things. And the insurance companies, 5 years in a row, letters and in person, said, if you don't change your policies, we're going to have to leave. Because government cannot force a business into bankruptcy. And that's what would have happened. If those insurance companies would have stayed, now we're all suffering from it. The Palisades victims is particularly what I'm talking about. They're all suffering because the insurance companies left. But those insurance companies also nationwide would have gone bankrupt if they would have been responsible for the damage. The damage was caused by failed environmental policies that everyone knew was going to happen. The bad part right now is those insurance companies are never coming back because we're going to lose another one. We're going to lose more cities and towns because the policies are not changing. And if we don't get a new governor, they're not going to change. Once I get into office, you give the fire department the ability to fix it all. Bring logging back into California, so we start thinning forests, we start managing forests responsibly. We let fire departments do backburns. We let them do controlled burns in off-season. So when the fire does get too close to businesses, we can put it out before it gets there and we don't lose anything. That's why it's going to take a while. The insurance companies will come back. There are 30-some million buildings that need insurance in California. It's business for them. It's money for them. They're supposed to be making money, but they're supposed to be doing it cheaply. When all of them come back, that's what draws the rates back down, because now they'll be competing again for our business. So there's an easy solution. It's just going to take 1 year, year and a half before they all start coming back. Yes, ma'am.
We have two businesses, and registration on vehicles has really hurt us extremely bad. We have one vehicle that we use, and it costs us $3,500 just to register the one vehicle.
Yeah.
And we have several on top of that. So on top of that, it's over $10,000 to $15,000. And I would like to see, hopefully, the registration costs come down significantly, because we're a small business, we're still struggling, and to keep our.
Let me be very, very clear. California is the 4th largest economy in the world. We have 40 million people, the best businesses, technology, environmental resources. One thing that I didn't talk about, this is my county and Imperial County. It's been identified, it's already there, just waiting to break ground. We have the largest lithium deposit in the world. Right now, China has it. All of the lithium, all of the rare earth elements and minerals that we need, all come from China. That's why several years ago we couldn't get vehicles, because the material needed to make all the computer chips and everything else comes from China, and we weren't getting it. We have the largest lithium deposit in the world, the largest rare earth mineral deposit in the entire world, and currently the state is preventing it from opening. They want us reliant upon China. We are going to use our own resources. We have never, ever had a money problem in California. We have a serious spending problem and money management problem. Your registration, this is making my life harder. It's going to make all of your lives easier. But one of my downfalls is I am probably the most competitive person you've ever met in your life. The bad part for me in that is I have a really good friend that moved here and moved to a state that has flat rate $30 registration fee. California is better than every state, so now I have to have $25 flat. So we will have a $25 flat vehicle registration fee. I don't care if it's a motorcycle, $25. The DMV is the epitome of what is wrong with California government. Does anyone in here have any involvement with other state DMVs? Okay, I do too. Denise and I leave a vehicle in Utah, and they're actually friendly when you go into the DMV. Some of the DMV employees are friendly here, but there are no lines in other states. You walk in and you walk out with everything you need. You can walk in there and within 15 minutes leave with license plates for a vehicle. I'll tell you a tiny little thing. I don't know if this girl could have done this, but she did it anyway. We left a trailer up there, so a travel trailer on the property that we have up there. And so I had to register it. So I go in, and I had no idea they had to do a VIN verification and everything else, but I went in there and she's like, is it out in the parking lot? And I'm like, no, it's up on the mountain. And she's like, oh, we have to do a VIN verification. I'm like, okay, I'll bring it back down. And she's like, okay. She finishes everything, and she's like, here it is. Everything's all done, but here's my cell phone number. When you get back to where you are, text me a picture of your VIN number. That was my VIN verification. I was only in there 15 minutes. And then, I will admit, I thought I had it all set up on automatic payments and renewals and everything else, and apparently I didn't. So 2 years later, I get a letter in the mail that says, my insurance is late, I didn't pay it the year before, and I'm like, oh crap, now it's, whatever, now we gotta take care of it. So we go up there, we walk in, they tell us we can't go in, because going in is only for appointments. She's like, you have to go through the drive-up. I'm like, you have a drive-up? And she's like, yeah, you have to go through the drive-up. So we go outside, go through the drive-up, and the same girl that helped us when we walked in is now helping us in the drive-up. I give her my paperwork. I said, hey, I'm really sorry. I need to pay my registration. I didn't pay it last year, so it's 2 years and fees and everything else. She's like, yeah, there's probably nothing I can do about the late fees. And it's like, it's okay, it's my fault. So she comes back and she says, I talked to my manager, I couldn't remove the late fees. I had to add those in there. It was $5. I'm like, okay, if I have to. We will have that here in California. If they can streamline things and make it that easy in other states, why are we not doing it here? We know it can make it happen. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can just copy wheels that work. And we're going to do it. $25 for your registration. That was a long story to make that happen. Yes,
Do that with the CCW?
of course. I already do it on Riverside County. So there's a lot that goes into that. And I don't know what the real fix is, because it's actually easy to get a CCW in California, but making it, going to each individual county, then that's where some things, it should be universal. Like for instance, since I've been the sheriff, I've issued 75,000. Los Angeles County has probably issued 100. So we're right next door to each other, and those residents there don't get the same ability just because of the difference in me and the belief of that sheriff. So we're still Californians. I'm not 100% sure how we're going to make it work, but we have to make it more universal and equal, regardless of where you live in the state, and we will make it work. And then the last place I was at, somebody asked about gun laws and everything else. Again, I'm the expert in this arena. As a 33-year law enforcement person, and as a sheriff now of this 4th largest sheriff's office in the entire country, I can tell you that there is not one single gun law, not one single gun law that keeps you safe. Gun laws only prevent you from having a gun, and they make law-abiding people criminals if you break those laws. Even a CCW, even though I've issued 75,000 permits, I have not prevented one liquor store robbery because someone said, oh man, I can't rob the liquor store tonight because the sheriff didn't approve my CCW. Criminals don't care about laws. See, gun laws only affect law-abiding people to prevent your ability from owning, possessing, or carrying a gun. We have to fix a lot of them. Just like every other state in the country, they're just horrific, and we have to address all of them. Yes, ma'am.
We just talked earlier about how they put these little laws into nicely little bow tie little present packages. They look nice. Can you talk a little bit about the California Values Act and SB 54?
Yes, so sanctuary state. Senate Bill 54 is what made California a sanctuary state. It does absolutely nothing to keep you safe. It actually does nothing to keep people who are in this country illegally safe. The only reason it was written, the only thing it does, is prevent sheriffs from cooperating with the federal government when somebody is in jail and allowing us to have those people deported. So instead, it forces sheriffs to release criminals back into our neighborhoods to victimize us again, even though they're in the country illegally and committing crimes and victimizing us. That's what SB 54 does. That's it. It protects criminals who are in jail and in prison, and it forces sheriffs to release them back into society so they can victimize us again. It has to go away. SB 54 absolutely must be repealed. Currently, I am suing the state of California. It's been 2 or 3 years now that it's going through the court process. They keep drawing it out over and over. We're going to eventually win, because SB 54 is unconstitutional because it forces your sheriff, me, to violate either federal law or state law. So that in and of itself makes it unconstitutional. So we're going to eventually win. It will get repealed, it will get overturned, or you're going to elect me as governor and we're going to get rid of it anyway. But SB 54 will go away. Yes, ma'am.
You talk about cleanup and mitigation for fire safety. Here in this region, we're dealing with state and federal.
Mm-hmm.
And what we have is NGOs or environmental action leagues that sue us into no action.
Right.
Do you have any foresight on
Yes.
how this can be balanced?
So the problem is they're suing you because you're violating a regulation. If I took away the regulation, there's nothing for them to sue over. It's the environmental activism, the regulations and the rules that they're able to litigate against. So if you're not violating anything, there's nothing to sue over.
And that's on state lands.
Yes, that's on state land. So the only difference we have, and I will tell you, I'm the same way. My county has federal and state lands, and in the end, we don't care. We don't care. We're not going to lose one of our cities, we're not going to lose one of our towns, we're not going to lose property because the federal government says that they're just going to let it burn. We're not. And so they protect those houses that are in that area. They're still in my county, and no matter what, it's still in my state. So as your governor, we will force the federal government to play along, or we're just going to do it ourselves. But we're no longer going to lose towns, and we're no longer going to lose cities because of the inability or the inaction of the federal government. Yes, sir.
Well, this is what you said you will do, but what we can do, as you mentioned, Sonia Shah probably since 1960 will be the first person to win in June if we all do what we are supposed to do.
Yeah.
But to all confused Republican thinking about two top runners and Democrat, what we can do to make you go ahead.
Yeah. So hopefully you're all here because you're supporting me anyway.
Yeah.
If not, let me know who you are, because there's guards at the door. You're not going to until you change your mind. But there's two things. Not only do we need votes, we need money to reach people that you can't reach or that I can't reach. So elections are won off of votes and money, and that's how it works. So you are kind enough to donate, to come here and pay to support the campaign. We truly appreciate it. Go one step further and make sure that everybody you know votes. You can follow me on social media. If you share my social media, it's free. It's free advertising. It can reach all of your friends that may not even heard of me before, but they're going to see it on your social media. The biggest issue for our election this time is the reason why we lose is we don't vote. 40 to 60% of California in every single election doesn't vote. Last election, last November, in Prop 50. So Prop 50 was Democrat gerrymandering to destroy our ability to have representation in Washington. It lost miserably. Miserably. But do you know that only 20% of the people voted? That means that 80% of Californians didn't vote on something that was detrimental to our representation in federal government. 80% didn't take the time to vote. And the reality of regular governor elections is between 40 and 60% of people don't vote. That's why we lose every single election. What we all think of, how did that happen? It's because the people that think like us don't vote, because they believe that their vote doesn't count. They believe that somebody is picking that person, the next person anyway. They're going to cheat their way in, whatever the case may be. And so they convince themselves that if they don't vote, it's okay because it doesn't matter anyway. Well, the only vote that doesn't matter is the one that's not made. And that one really matters because it's a vote for the opposite side of what you believe in. So if we can convince everyone to vote, if we can get 70, 80% voter turnout, I would like 100% voter turnout. If it's 100% voter turnout, it's going to be the biggest landslide ever, because I'm promising you, I've been traveling the state for 15 months now, straight. The only place I haven't been is home. The majority of the state thinks exactly like we think. The majority of the state knows that it's broken. It's just we're not getting out to vote. So you have to do everything you can to convince yourselves. You're going to start getting your ballots after next Monday. After next Monday, ballots are going to start arriving in your mailbox. I need you to fill them out. I need you to mail them back in or drop them off. Take your pick. You can track it to make sure they got it, make sure it got counted. And they start counting as soon as they get it. So do the tracker, figure out it got counted, now you're safe. Now spend the next 28 days making sure that everyone you know votes. Pick up their ballots, deliver them for them, get them to sign for them. Make it easy for them. Do anything you can to make sure that we do something more than we did last election so we don't lose by the same amount. We can win this thing as long as we get out and vote, because Californians, the majority of us, are sane. Yes, sir.
Sheriff, first of all, I wanted to start with a comment. Thank you for your selfless leadership and your service as a sheriff. And for the life of me, I can't understand why you want to be the governor of California.
Denise doesn't know. I don't know either myself. Sometimes I wake up and it's like, holy crap, why am I doing this?
But thank you very much for stepping up. We need someone like you leading our state. Dave Robinson said hi, by the way. He's living the dream in Montana.
I know he is. I don't want to hear it.
For the record, I voted no on Prop 47 because I wasn't fooled by the fancy names. And that's what California does. They try to disenfranchise us and they try to fool us with all these titles. So I've been in the ag industry for the last 6 years. And as a police chief, I thought we were over-regulated. But I can tell you, as an ag professional now, we are the most regulated industry in California. And I can't understand the end game in California with water. And it's a water allocation problem and a management problem because there's plenty of water.
Yeah.
It's just the way it's distributed that's really hurting us. It seems like they want to push the $60 billion a year ag industry out of California. It just doesn't make sense. So you have your work cut out for you. But like you said earlier, we are over-regulated. And if you can get rid of all these regulations, we'll be in good shape. Because personally, I'm not anti-regulation. I'm pro-practical regulation.
Yeah.
I just haven't.
That's
found
what everyone is.
I haven't found one in California that's actually pro-practical regulations.
Yeah, they're not really, because the regulations that we have to have regulations and rules, or we would be a third world country.
Right.
I don't want to be Tijuana. I mean, you just have to go to San Diego and look across the border and say, yeah, I don't want that. We have to have regulation. But at the same time, we don't need regulation on steroids. And we don't have to be punished simply because we chose to live or have a business in California. And that's truly what it is. When we are taxed or regulated or feed to death, when other states are not, that means it's just California. The fuel industry is a perfect example. We make all of the gasoline for Nevada and Arizona. We do here. But somehow, making the fuel here and then taking it in trucks and pipelines to Nevada and Arizona, when it crosses that state line, it's $2 cheaper. That right there tells you it's our problem. It's not anyone else's. And we just have to get to the point where we're not going to be punished anymore for being Californians. We're going to be treated equal like everybody else in the country. We will have regulations. We do have to care about the environment. We have to make sure we don't ruin things for our kids and our grandkids. But it's not what California is doing. And our ag industry, I will tell you, the ag industry is on purpose to get rid of our ag industry because our current state government believes that we should be making other countries wealthy. They want us to stop so we have to buy from other places. The whole thing, I don't know if I said it here or if I said it in the last meeting, but we're the only place in the country that can be ag independent. We have the ability, because of how long we are as a state, going across weather zones, we can grow our own food year-round to feed the entire state. We're the only state in the country that can do that. In the world that can do that. Yes. And we have gone from, at one point, California supplied 90% of the ag to the United States. And now we're down to 60. And we were a massive supplier of the world, but we have decreased that also. Now we're becoming a consumer of the world and other states at the expense of our ranching and farming community. And that drives the cost up. We can do it cheaper here if we allowed it here, and we just have to believe that California is more important than anyone else. I don't want to be, I'm being labeled as this MAGA guy. MACA sounds horrible. It can't be MACA, but I'm not doing this to make America great again. It's make California great again. I want Californians to prosper because we live in California. And the regulatory environment is doing it. Our farmers, like I have a unique perspective because I have farming community in my county that borders Arizona. So all of the ag people in Blythe who can look across the river to the people in Arizona and see how they are able to farm, what they are able to use on their farm, whether it's pesticides, fertilizers, or any of those things, that Arizona is doing it right there and they can't, and Arizona's doing it so much cheaper and then taking their business away, we're harming ourselves.
Yeah, and I don't want to harp on this, but I will tell you that we're fourth generation farmers in our family. Our company has been in business for 34 years. Over the past 20 years, Cal Poly did a study, and the cost of doing business in the ag industry has gone up 1,400%.
Yeah.
Yet we have not been able to raise our rates
Right.
for the services that we provide. So the end game, like I said, and I don't understand why it would be to get rid of the ag industry. You just cannot understand. And we're hoping that you have some influence and some control.
I have all of the influence and control.
And again, I'll thank you at that, but thank you for very much.
Yes, absolutely. I'll go one step further from the ag and go into construction. We have very good friends that own a massive, massive construction company, and they transitioned from, they used to do roadways and all kinds of different things and tons of massive, massive billion-dollar contracts. So now they only do runways. Their expertise is runways, airplane runways. And they do them all the western states. All across the western states, they travel to build runways and repair runways. They live in Riverside County. In California, for a runway in California, for them to build a runway in California, is 5 times more expensive than any other state that they work in. Half of the equipment that they use, California doesn't allow. They just have to leave it all in Arizona. We are our own worst enemy. Our state government is seriously, seriously harming us. And it is all a thirst for our money. That's all it is. Over 100 years, there has not been one time that California state government has stopped something from being paid. And when they want a new pet project, it's just where are they going to take it from you? How are they going to take it? They know they're taking it from you. Where? From your income, from your business, from the cost of your services, from a fee from DMV. That's how it's working. We have a management problem, a spending problem that we have to rein in, and we can do it. 10 minutes? Okay. Yes?
So, like you said, the cost of building a house is insane in California. There's a lot of that is because of California code. Some of the code is completely arbitrary and unnecessary. Some of it is necessary. What could you do to eliminate the arbitrary code?
Exactly that. They're all codes. None of it is a law. It is all coming from a board or a commission of unelected officials that was, you said the word, it's arbitrary. It's arbitrary for city, county, different place in the state. They just make stuff up as they go on how they can prevent something from happening. And sometimes it's not even preventing it from happening. It's, you can go ahead and do it, but it's going to cost you 4 times as much.
That's exactly what it feels like, but my question is, what could you do to make sure that...
I take them away.
So that's the question. Some are necessary, absolutely. Some are totally arbitrary. What would you do to make sure the ones that are arbitrary are gone?
It's kind of explaining that all of them can't be gone. I'm not removing I'm not going to make us Tijuana, Mexico, third world country. We have to have regulations in place to keep us safe, to keep things equal all over the board, whatever. There are fire regulations, there are earthquake regulations, but they don't have to be arbitrary. Mm-hmm. And it's putting in people in place on those boards and commissions that make those decisions. For instance, I'll use farming community. There's not a farmer on the farming board. How does that make sense? It's a professor, it's attorneys, it's environmental activists, it's school people that don't even know what a farm is, and they're regulating our farming community. So when you replace all of those, and here's the key, there's roughly 3,100 appointed positions that the governor can appoint. That means I can fire all of them too. All of them have to be replaced because they've proven over the decades that they aren't doing it to make our lives better. They're doing it for activism reasons, for political reasons, for whatever the case may be, and it's harming us. So you replace them with people that are experts in that field that actually want it to work. Perfect example is another farming community. The best person to regulate farming is a farmer, because a farmer knows that if they don't do it right, they're not going to be able to do it next year. So they have to make sure that they can keep this going year after year after year. And it's no different. You have to have a builder that has a say-so on that commission that is regulating your industry. Yes, sir?
How do we control the state's bidding process for projects like the high-speed rail, for example? It seems like every state project, I've talked to guys that have bid on projects, and I've had some insider intel, and they say, hey, you bid it at $3 million, you need to pump your numbers, like you're way under, and then you say, well, I'm going to make great money at $3 million, but you're not even a contender unless you bid at $8 million. And it seems like that's the mindset in California on this. How do you turn, a high-speed rail to a $250 billion project that is mismanaged into the ground?
It's $1 trillion.
Eventually,
yeah,
if it gets there, but how do you control the greed of, it's not even, the contractors are making great money, but they obviously have somebody telling them to raise their numbers, because I get the Davis-Bacon Wage Act, I get paying prevailing wage, but you can make retirement money without charging 10 times what you know you should.
Right. So we just have to get to a point where you realize that the people that we have put in place in California state government, not all, the majority of them are completely corrupt. All you have to do is look at every single person in Washington and the majority of the people in Sacramento. I'll tell you how much they make per year, and you tell me how they afford the house that they're living in. Because none of that makes sense. So if it doesn't make sense from my background, a criminal investigator background, why doesn't it make sense? There has to be something else. Why would that person get that contract? If it only costs $250 million, why would someone get $800 million bid and win? Do you think they need that $600 million? No. A lot of that money is going back to the people that approved it, back to the people that made it happen, and the election coffers to make sure those people get elected again so nothing ever changes. We have evolved into a government over the 250 years, from the perfect government in the history of the world, we have evolved to what we have today because of greed. Not greed from businesses, not greed from corporations, from greed from the people that we are putting in place that have realized that there is an economic benefit for them being there. And we absolutely have to get to a point where we're going to put somebody in that position that holds people accountable. And I will tell you this, I can guarantee that people are going to prison when I get there. I guarantee it. We are never going to stop that from happening until somebody goes to prison for the embezzlements, the frauds, the theft, and those types of things that are happening. Because you're never going to stop bad behavior until there's a severe punishment to it. And me, with a news camera, putting handcuffs on them, walking them into the jail, following them through the court process with cameras, and then follow that court camera when they get walked into state prison, that's going to tell everybody else, holy crap, he was serious. Maybe we can't do that anymore. And that's what's going to change behavior, because until then, it's not going to change, because it's status quo, business as usual, and it's just, that's the way we do things. Like nails on a chalkboard that's the way it's always done. We have to do something that changes the way it's always done, because we know it's broken.
Yeah.
Last question. Yes, sir. I'll do two. There was only 2 hands raised.
You brought up that we need votes, right? And I'm sure we'll all here because we've all been stung by California in the past. We've all got common sense and the experience under our belt. I coach a local college here. Those kids don't have this experience. They haven't learned common sense yet. Do you have a committee or something that speaks to that age to help get those votes out to help support you?
Yes, we do have, so the best thing that they could possibly do, if you could encourage them to get involved with Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA is just nothing but college kids. And then people that are barely out of college that are running in their 20s, maybe somebody in their 30s that's actually ahead of the whole thing. I mean, Charlie Kirk was only 32 years old, and he was the head of the whole organization. Everybody else is younger than him. So if they get involved, then they're talking to people their same age. So instead of, it's like me. I listen to other people instead of my dad. But I listen to my coaches too. Even though they said the same thing as my dad, I listened. I didn't listen to my dad, I listened to my coaches. And they're the same way. All kids are the same. And especially if they're hearing it from other kids. So you direct them to those organizations. There's Young Republican organizations, there's TPUSA. But I will tell you this, for all of us to know, that age kids, this younger generation from 15 to 25, roughly in that area for sure, maybe even a little bit more, are far more conservative than our generation. Far more conservative. Because they figured out people are lying to them. It doesn't make sense. They were forced to come up with their own, think about things that didn't make sense because of COVID, because of there was a 4 or 5 year period that negatively affected their lives, and they figured it out. So they're becoming more and more conservative anyway, and you'd be surprised that probably a lot of them already know who I am and are paying attention to this governor race, because they know, those kids know, that they can't live in California. They can't afford a home. They can't afford an apartment. They don't know if they're going to get a job. And they're looking at other states, so they're becoming more and more involved in politics. It's a good thing what we've learned over the last year with these kids. Yeah. California is its own worst enemy right now, and we just have to, major course correction. So talking to them, directing them to TPUSA, Young Republican groups, is probably the best thing, because that's their own age group telling them. You're welcome. Yes, sir.
thing I haven't heard that much being spoken about. As a business owner in California, one of our primary concerns is how many lawsuits there are and how it's so lopsided to anyone that wants to claim they're a victim or anything. If they want free money,
Yeah.
you just call a lawyer, probably they're going to get some free money. And
Yeah.
it's one of the biggest
It's-
concerns of any business owner, if not the biggest. is
Yeah.
the difficulties we have on that.
Yeah, I talked about it last thing, so I thought I talked about it already. So the bad part, the good part for you is you asked the question, so I'm going to answer it. The bad part for you is if other people in here are not business owners, they don't know anything you're talking about. But it's destroying businesses in California. It is basically legal extortion that is putting you out of business. So what he's talking about, it's called PAGA, the Private Attorney General Act. And it is basically the state government wanted more money. So they have authorized individuals to sue on behalf of the Attorney General any business owner for anything they want. And then it is so expensive, even to the point where they can make a class action suit, that some of these suits are in the multi-million dollars, even for small businesses, that they have basically said, this is going to cost you $2.5 million, but you can settle it for $80,000 if you write the check right now. And so businesses are writing the check. Or the worst part, down to bare bones, is if you're going to fight anything in court, it's going to cost you about $18,000. So they're coming in with these lawsuits to all these businesses and saying, here's your this PAGA lawsuit, we'll settle it for $18,500. And so these businesses are just writing checks. But then the next day they have to write another one because somebody else sues them. And this is how ridiculous it is. The person doesn't even have to work for you anymore. And they can come back and say, when I worked for him, there was a day that he didn't let me take my break for a minute. I missed it by a minute. And he doesn't even get the opportunity to prove that it's not true. It's just done. If they file this complaint, it goes to a board. It doesn't even go to lawyers. It doesn't even go to a judge. It goes to a board, not a judge, or not anything even in the legal system. It's more activists. But this is the bad part. It was only done to generate money for the state. For instance, if he pays $100,000, $60,000 of it goes to the state. $30,000 of it goes to the attorney, and the remainder goes to the person that was supposedly, or multiple people that were supposedly victimized. This was only a way for the state to make more money off of him because he owns a business. The good part about that is it's the bad part is it's a law that we have to repeal. The good part is when I win, and everyone, so when I explain that to everybody in this room, we all now feel sorry for you. But they didn't know about it until you just brought it up. But everybody's like, what in the world? Why does that even exist? That's what everybody realizes when they're told the truth. So when I tell the entire state that PAGA has to go away, and these are the lawmakers that don't want it to go away, those are the lawmakers that aren't going to get voted for the next time. And that's how I'm going to be successful in Sacramento. The only thing that lawmakers fear is an informed voter. They don't want you to know what they're doing in Sacramento. They don't want you to know what they're doing, the bills that they're passing, the things that they aren't passing, and I'm going to tell you. So the beautiful part of 250 years ago, how they set up our government, we don't realize this. This election, we complain all the time about Democrats having the supermajority. So in the assembly, there are 80 members of the assembly, 19 of them are Republican. 60 of them, 61, are Democrats. Do you know that we all know in California, there is nothing negative that can be attributed to a Republican. Every single bad thing in California was done to us by a Democrat. Do you know that right now in June, every single member of the assembly is up for re-election? Every single one of them. And we're going to put the same people back in office. The people who are harming us are going to get voted for again because we haven't gotten mad enough and nobody has told us what they were doing. So I'm telling everybody, my first 2 years, when you're saying, why would you even do this? I know it's only going to be hard for 2 years. A lot of the things that I can do for California is regulation, sign them away. Changing laws are going to be difficult because it's going to be majority Democrat. But it's only going to be hard for me for 2 years. Because in that 2 years, every single Friday, I've already promised the media, I will have a press conference on the steps of the Capitol, and every single Friday, I'm going to tell all of you on TV who are the people that were doing something negative for your life, and who was not working to make you better. For instance, I'm getting rid of your state income tax. Do any of you want to pay state income tax?
No.
Okay, so on Friday, when I stand up with a list and I say, these are the Democrats that want you to keep paying state income tax, are you going to vote for them the next time?
No.
No one is going to vote for them. Because I'm going to make sure you're informed. And that's what the politicians are afraid of. 2 years is all it's going to take. Because in 2 years, you're going to replace everybody that's not working to make California better. Whether it's the Senate or the Assembly. Every 2 years, you replace a third of the Senate and 100% of the Assembly. We can make this happen, and we can make it happen easy. It's going to be hard for me, but I don't even care. I know it's going to work. I know it's going to be worth it, and we can make it happen just by informing them. And this is what, I'm going to end by telling you this is how ridiculous California is, what I'm going to be telling you every Friday. I go to Sacramento all the time. I'm constantly there meeting with legislators, speaking in committees, trying to get bills passed or fight bad bills from getting passed. And I love our Capitol building. I think if you haven't been there, you need to go. I believe it's one of the most beautiful buildings ever. The greatest architecture, the artwork, everything in there is amazing. So I'm there a lot, and I just ventured into the Assembly Hall. You walk in above, and you can listen to them as they're carrying on our business. So think about what we are fighting in California, what's harming us. Everything, schools, wages, cost of everything, homes, building, gas, all of these things. So I sat there for about 15, 20 minutes. I couldn't do it anymore. I had to leave. I learned later that this went on for hours, hours and hours. While we're suffering from everything we're suffering from, they were arguing in the Assembly about whether or not Sasquatch should be the mythical creature of California. That's what we put people in Sacramento for, was to argue for nearly a day about Sasquatch. So if on that Friday I told you all the people that were doing that, do you think they'd be elected this June? I guarantee you they wouldn't be.
They didn't come up with an answer, right?
They still don't have an answer. Now there's a bill. There's actually a bill this session to make Sasquatch the mythical creature. So instead of a bill to lower your electric prices or your gas prices, they're going to all be voting on Sasquatch. Those are the people we're sending there. It's not all of them, because some people are going to vote no. But that's what I'm going to expose. That's how easy it's going to be, because it's not just that, it's other things too. It's like, how are they voting on a bill right now? There's a bill right now. All of you know, I hope you know, that our own government came up with a report, our own state government, finance department, came out with a report that said California is the most corrupt government in the country when it comes to waste, fraud, and abuse of our taxpayer money. Our own state government said they're the worst. You know it's bad. We had a 23-year-old kid come from another state, spend one weekend here, and found $200 billion worth of fraud. $200 billion. And so now there's a law, a bill that they want signed into law to make it a crime for him to come in here and expose people for committing fraud.
To protect themselves.
Not to stop the fraud,
Right.
to stop the exposure of fraud. It's asinine. So on a positive note, there are far more sane people in California than insane. We just have to reach them. And when you go out into your community to reach them, when you find the ones, don't mention Donald Trump. If you do and they turn red, run. There are some people, it's not worth your time. Walk away There are the middle people that we're trying to reach. The middle people that want to be safe, the middle people who want cheaper homes, their kids to afford a home, cheaper gas, be safe in your community, be safe in your home, be able to open your business. There are Democrats that have businesses, that have kids, that want to be safe in California. And talk about their values. Don't talk about Republican, talk about their values. You will be able to convince them that they need a change. As we have been spending the last 15 months traveling this state, I say all the time, I need Democrats to vote for me. And when we leave these types of meetings, I either get instant messages or they'll stop me out in the parking lot and say, I'm the Democrat you're talking about. I don't believe in everything you say, but I know you have to be our governor because we need drastic change. And they're Democrats. They're going to vote for us for change because it can't get any worse. I think we hit near rock bottom, and even the Democrats want to change. So you have to go out and you have to find those people that don't vote. Make sure you encourage them to register and vote. That's how we're going to win. It isn't even so much by changing opinions, it's just getting more people out to win. President Trump said it absolutely best. Never once during the 2024 election did he complain about cheating. Not once. Every single time he spoke, multiple times in his speeches, he said, make it too big to rig. President Trump won the last election because more people in history came out to vote for him, and they did. And it was too big to rig. That's why he won. And we can do the same thing in California. If we just get people out to vote, sanity is going to prevail, and we can make sure that we rescue our beautiful state. So I appreciate everybody. Thank you. Hopefully I'll see you at the radio tonight. Thank you all for coming out to support.
Thank you.
Bless your family.
Hecho sentir mal, al contrario, nos recibieron muy bien. Vamos a parar esto porque estamos tomando.